Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to another special edition of Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in the heartbeat of the San Gabriel Valley of Southern California. That guy out there is.
Rick Levy, a little bit more southern in Southern California.
Yeah, you're close to the border. He's a border. Whenever he needs tequila, he doesn't go to Tijuana. So whatever. um, Rick and I have been beside ourselves. We have been tasting the self-proclaimed most awarded tequila in the world. All right. This is Cierto tequila.
But not undeservedly so thus far.
Thus far, it has lived up to the hype. I know a lot of people go, "Hey, is it worth the hype?" We haven't seen the bottle. We haven't been able to see the bottle for almost 2 years until like end of 2022, I think, is when the bottle became available to actually be to actually be ogled. And so here we are, and we've got this is the last of the line. For some reason, they only sent us the Blanco and Añejo at the beginning. Then I fortuitously ran into the founder of Cierto. His name is Jason Castellucci, and Jason and the PR company and the current CEO made this happen. They gave us the rest of the line, and I said, "Great," because Rick and I are nerds about stuff like this. We need to finish up the entire line so we know where the head of the maker is. I think that's what it is. Rick, you and I really, the more we dissect these things, you really get into the brains of the person who says, "Hey, let's try this. Let's go over here." The
Right.
master distiller and the decisions that are being made that has made this tequila the most awarded tequila in the world. And so anyway, this is the extra añejo. We're just gonna pour it. We're just gonna pour it and taste it. I'm gonna use a Glencairn on this one because
I'm
I
going to
was
use the Stasso Harito.
Sojarito. The Glencairn, I almost broke out the Sergio Bormiolis just because this is probably what it deserves. But
Right.
I'm gonna use a Glencairn just in case because I have not had it. That was Crystal that you heard, or maybe you didn't hear it, but that was what it was. Um, by the way, Rick, very substantial bottle. We talked about this again off camera. This thing is heavy. It's a heavy, substantial bottle. I know I made some cracks about it being the Terminator of bottles because it's very heavy, substantial, but
You
and
can
it
you
looks
can protect your home with this bottle.
oh yeah, yeah, just make sure it's empty. Otherwise, otherwise you're going to baptize some poor slob who doesn't deserve it. Okay,
Right, right.
or whatever. But anyway, what are you getting on the look? Because it's got like brassy notes to it.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a deeper, richer color, like almost, it's verging on red.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's got some brass highlights in it.
Yeah.
And that would figure because once we tell you what sort of barrels that they're using,
The
again,
legs
Rick,
and tears are just
they're
continue to
yes.
be luscious.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly where I was headed. It's gorgeous to look at. And folks, that's why we look at it, because there's three elements. It's always sight, aroma, and flavor. Flavor's the last of it. Especially if you're dissecting stuff the way we do. This is beautiful. That
Yeah,
is a string of pearls with legs that go on forever and doesn't care who knows it.
right.
Wow. And generous legs and tears. It's clinging to the glass, but then it takes its own sweet time to stream into the liquid.
It's really beautiful in the Glencairn with that rounded bottom.
Yeah, isn't
It,
that?
it it really shows off the color there.
Yeah. And again, Glencairn and the Stotzel Jarrito are made by the same company. It just Glencairn has its own specs as well as Stotzel, the Jarrito does.
Yeah, and when you get down past, until you get to the bell, the bottom of the bell, they have essentially the same geometry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
They're both fantastic for
Oh yeah.
pulling out
Rick
of
has a
those.
whole report that he put together for us. He really took a deep dive into glass making, and I got a little bit of the history behind glass as a vessel. Um, and the jarrito, the idea of the jarrito is that it's more historically and archaeologically correct for agave spirits in Mesoamerica because they didn't have glass; they had clay and pottery.
Right.
Whereas this was designed for primarily whiskey, but honestly, um, Alex, who is now beverage director at El Cholo in Pasadena, he's brought in, not only do they have Riedels, but they brought in Glencairns, and the Glencairn is really versatile. I love it for Blancos. It's surprisingly versatile. To say
Yeah, it really is.
so, either one of those folks, and you can get a Glencairn on Amazon. You can get Riedels at Amazon, or you could. Um, but I say
Don't drink tequila from the neat glass.
no, don't, because you'll get it all. First of all, it'll drip to the sides of your mouth, and you get it all over your t-shirt, and you look like your pet, like your dog, or your cat. I don't know. A cat would look at that and go, you don't expect me to drink out of that, do you?"
If you're enjoying your bourbon or your whiskey, the neat glass is great. There's room to throw an ice cube in there if you want. But
There
if
is.
you are if you are really interested in exploring your agave spirits, you need to have the Jarito or a Glencairn.
You need the right tools, folks. Wow. I haven't even put this to my nose yet. I'm just swirling it and I can smell it from here. I've got it
Yeah, it's
a good
lighting up the
2 feet
room.
away from me. Wow. Oh God. Oh God. I just took my first whiff. I don't even have to be this. Look at that. I'm about 12 inches uh away from my glass. Not 12 inches. Never mind. It's a good thing you didn't have
Oh,
any. You didn't. First thing, good thing you didn't have any booze in your mouth for that one. Um,
yes.
oh, when we talked about creaminess and we talked about the lusciousness, and that I went like there's a root like a sarsaparilla, like a cream soda. You know, this is really just blown up.
It's cranked up to 11 here.
Yeah, it's Inagata de Vida in a glass with an FM voice. If you don't know that reference, go watch our Reposado review. You'll get it. Anyway, wow. Now, okay, you first. They're more to me. These are more like baking spices. It has evolved into like baked fruit, like baked
Right.
apple, baked pears. Right? You can bake pears and throw cinnamon on them, and you're good to go. I mean, that's Or you know what else? I was going to say, grilled pineapple.
Oh.
Or am I in the wrong ballpark?
Are you picking up like a little bit of Maillard effect or something on the edges of the pineapple or
Well,
some toastiness?
yeah, like when you got a hot spot and your pineapple gets a little singed, right? It gets
Mm,
caramelized.
yeah. And with the French oak, I would imagine we may end up getting notes of like a dark cherry
There you go. Well, it
on the
does
palate,
say
but
the notes do say that the barrels that they're using are French limousine barrels, but there are I forget which one it said mentioned Burgundy. So
mm,
there's gonna be a little bit more grape depth to the barrel. Maybe that's what I'm getting.
right.
Ripe cherries, plums.
Yeah, we don't know that these are virgin French oak. We expect that you know they could very well have been used for something else.
I think so too. I don't think that these are virgin, just from having had stuff made for Casa Noble. They have their own cooperage in France that makes specific French oak barrels just for them. So you get a
Yeah.
lot of that chocolate and tobacco and bitter chocolate and all the cocoa and the sweetness up front and then the depth at the end of the palate. This one is very sweet on the nose though. And I love that.
Hmm.
This is really just And it's you don't have to get very close to it either. It's not like I have to dig in. I mean, I could smell it from over, from where you are. Wow, that is just beautiful. And you and I have had extra añejos that had like the dried fruit and the dried cherries, dried
Hmm.
raisins, things like that. But I'm not getting raisins so much as I'm getting plums. I'm getting,
Right.
I still got a little bit of that baked pear, and that has to be
Yeah.
a lot of that
It's,
has to be a
it's brighter.
yes, yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the character of that Blanco, the way that Blanco starts off.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very bright Blanca.
Bright and sharp. That's one of the words I came up with is like the sharpness of the flavor just comes right through, and it's like, yeah, man, I
Yeah.
haven't had a Blanco tequila with that much sharpness in a long time. You know, things have changed, 20 some odd years later, right? They're not waiting as long to be able to harvest plants anymore. So, the sugars are still there, but the character
Yeah.
and the depth of the terroir is not.
Yeah. The brands that have access to a distillery that also grows their own agaves really have a leg up right now.
Yep. Yeah. Because they can afford to wait. They can afford to parcel out, use certain ages of their huertas, their fields for certain brands and say, okay, this is your brand. We're going to harvest these at 6 years old or 7 or whatever, you know, whatever. But for their own purposes, you know, um, wow.
Yeah.
I
Well,
say we
we,
dive in now because I'm loving
all
just the aroma.
right.
Here we go.
Mm.
Mm,
Oh my God.
wow. Okay, now the cinnamony and the hot the heat is toward the rear of the palate. I'm
Mm.
getting more of that. The-
Yeah.
I'm surprised how prominent the fruit flavors are, though. They're really coming
Right.
through. And then there's this aftertaste that's got to be like it's a dryness. I'm thinking it's like barrel tannins or something. It's like wine. That's a
Hmm.
wine dryness I'm getting. Wow. Almost
But
like a
still, the mouthfeel is still very rich and creamy,
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
which,
It's bolder, but it's a sneaky bold. It doesn't get bold till it gets to the rear of your palate. That's when it just explodes. You got some stuff going on at the rear of the palate that I don't think I've ever had. And now
is
I'm
that
getting like there's like an herbalness, like a mint or rose. No, it's deeper than that. It's like a jasmine or a I don't want to say rosemary because I get that a lot in blancos, good blancos.
yeah.
This was a long aroma and flavor of something deep. I'm sure it's coming from the barrel. Huh.
Would it be almost like clove?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, because it would have to be like a really rich spice.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You're right. It borders on clove, but it's weird because it's like at the rear of the palate. Sometimes clove will get like right at the front. I mean, in the past
Yeah.
for us, for some of the ones that you and I have done. But this one, the clove kind of shows up at the rear. It's like, you could even
I,
confuse it with a like a bitter chocolate, bitter, like a dark
yeah,
chocolate, like a cacao, you know?
right. It's like that kind of a bite. But I don't know that I've ever had an XA with this kind of butteriness.
Yeah, the mouthfeel on this thing is really silky.
Because
Very
usually when something's been in the barrel that long, it starts to it gets thinner, it seems. And this is still, it has just this complex texture to it.
Well, I'm getting, how we talked about the reposado, wasn't getting too much lip numbness and spiciness, the cinnamon. Now I'm getting that. I'm getting it.
Mm,
I'm getting lip and gum numbness, which is what I look for. And then the spiciness on that first pass was a lot of the hot cinnamon. And then it's evolving again, like you said, with clove and I say bitter chocolate. I say like if you're talking, Alex and I love chocolate, and I think Rick does too. So this is like an 80 to 85 uh cacao that you get like at Trader Joe's, where you break off one square because that's gonna do you for the evening.
mm,
That's what this is like. This is a a high percentage dark chocolate from like Uganda. And I say that because
but
I have some in my fridge. And yeah, Uganda has terrific 85% cacao from Uganda. Go find it at Trader Joe's. I'm telling you, you could pair that with this and you're done. That
mm,
takes care of your sweet tooth and your alcohol intake, man. Wow. Now see this I could pair with a cigar and I could go bolder. I could go a
yeah.
little bolder than a Connecticut wrapper. I would.
Well, and the aroma is really opening up for me too. I'm getting like, dark cherry and some tobacco.
Maybe leather, maybe some leather as well, but that would be on the back end.
Mm,
The depth of this is amazing.
mm. I can't get over the butteriness of it.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
It
Wow.
just, it's this is a this is a 48-month XA, but it still has this incredible structure to it.
Yeah, and
There's some XAs we've done where, after this much time, they're just barrel water.
yeah, I mean they're going to acquire, and that was a general rule for years, is that any tequila that's been aged longer than 5 years is going to taste like something else. This thing still tastes like a tequila. There's no mistaking what this is because it's not whiskey.
Mhm.
And it can't be a wine, obviously, but it's not as dry and red looking as some of the ones we've had that were strictly in wine barrels. I go back to
Right.
Juan de Leon, and that's what he uses, and they're beautiful. Don't get us
Yeah.
wrong. We didn't Not that we didn't like it. We loved it. But
But
this is
if they are done in used wine barrels, the wine it's just adding hints. It's not, it's not overpowering
right.
the
The Blanco that you start with, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, this is not doing that. Let's give you some of the ins and outs because I think we can wax poetic about this thing all night long,
Mm.
and we probably will. But let's just give you the fine print here. It is made by Tequilenia, that is NOM 1146, Enrique Fonseca, and I is that his son or his nephew? I can't remember. I know that it's a family member of some sort, but they are one of the two distilleries known to have the largest barrel rooms in the tequila industry. And I can't say
And
enough
they're also
about this
huge
place.
agaveros, right? They
Well,
got a
yeah,
lot of
they
fields.
yeah, they have their own fields. They can afford to wait on these plants, and and this company, Cierto, they went high end all the way. I mean, they designed this tequila
Yeah.
to beat all other tequilas. It's not even fair, folks. It's not fair. If you're running a contest, if you have your own contest that you get a sample of this, don't put it in any category where they're just using bourbon and whiskey barrels, because you'll be doing those brands a disservice, and this one too, because they're just gonna they steamroll the competition.
Yeah. They pulled out all the stops.
Yeah. I mean, everything and it figures I tell the story. I ran into the founder of Cierto, Jason Castellucci, and I said to him, "Why is it that you spent so long entering contests, but nobody's ever seen the bottle?" And he said, "It did take us a long time to source to get to the bottle that we wanted." They were really particular about it, and I guess and of course the pandemic didn't help things, because then the supply
Mm,
chain froze up, right? uh so when they finally appeared with the bottle, it was like, okay, now we get it. Now we get it. It's beautiful. They sent us a couple of nice brochures, and we're actually they actually quoted Rick and me uh, on their brochure, which is really kind of cool. Thanks for that. We do appreciate it. Yep, there it is. Cierto blows the doors off every other tequila. It's true. I don't. Again, if you're running a contest, you have your own contest. You have, you're one of those people that they want to enter their award with. Don't put them in the same category. You're not doing anybody any justice. They're just going to
yeah.
steam. They're going to steamroll the competition. That's just who they are. And
There's a lot of great tequilas out there aiming at different profiles, which are fantastic in and of themselves. But, this thing's a ringer.
oh yeah, slam dunk. Speaking of ringers,
And
what's
it doesn't hurt that you've got Enrique Fonseca involved, who is sort of like the mad scientist of barreling.
yeah, and a long time agave grower. He and was it Sergio Mendoza, I think, is his associate, his partner.
Hmm.
Um, what are we looking at price point wise? Do we even have a shall we break the news, or hesitate to go there, or what?
Yeah, so this is 360. Wait, is this the reserve collection or the
Yeah,
private collection?
they're all reserve
No, this
collection.
is this is the private collection. So this is 250 for the XA. The reserve collection extra añejo is 360. But this is the private collection. So there's
So,
still another one out there that we haven't had, Mike.
oh, no way. It's this Hey, Jason, if you're watching, where's the rest of it?
Where's the reserve collection?
Where's the reserve collection? Can we have that one delivered, by hand, by a courier in a French limousine? I mean,
No. And I haven't had it yet, but I think Mike would agree, the price point and everything, puts this in, the same realm as Tears of Llorona. And
yeah.
I think that's what you're looking at. It's an extremely special bottle.
Listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you people think that Clase Azul, the $1,200 bottle of tequila that we know is not real tequila, if you're going to spend that much, spend a fraction of that and get yourself a real bottle of tequila. This is a real bottle of tequila. This is a testament to what can be done when you have ingenuity, you have the right plants, and no reason to enhance your flavor profiles with whatever enhancements out there, edulcorants, as we like to call them in Spanish and French, edulcorantes. You don't need any of that. You just see somebody with genius. All right. And there's
Yeah,
a few geniuses in this business. And the Fonsecas are one of them. For those of you who've had
right.
Fuente Seca, I rest my case. I think you and
Yeah.
I did Fuente Seca. Didn't we do the Fuente Seca
Oh,
line? We did a
yeah.
Blanco, and
Fuente Seca.
we talked about the creaminess in the Blanco. In the Blanco, for God's sake.
Just a Blanco. And it just blows your mind.
Yeah. So do yourself a favor. Just, if you're gonna drink Clase Azul, great. But
You know, if you wanna buy Clase Azul, if you want to mix with it or whatever, put in your drinks, if you enjoy it, that's great. I would just say Clase Azul comes in these opaque ceramic bottles. Take it, pour it into some glassware, and let it sit. You will see it separate, and that's just not supposed to happen.
I remember you said stuff, you had some samples that had separated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
In my library, when I get to the end of a bottle, if I don't think I'm going to replace the bottle, I have, these 2-ounce sample glasses, and I will pour the last of the bottle in there. And I pulled out Clase Azul a couple of months afterwards, and it was striated, and
wow.
it was really off-putting.
I know of a scientist that I'm in contact with over LinkedIn, and he is doing some gas chromatography and breaking down. They discovered just recently um, that there's another sweetener that was identified that is not one of the four allowable enhancements. I'm going to call them enhancements because that's what they are. Additives, they don't identify, it doesn't translate the same way in Spanish as it does in English. Um, Again, these are allowed by the normas, the rules and regulations of tequila making, but they discovered another sweetener that is not of the four enhancements that are allowed in the normas. I'm not sure what that's about. I'm interested to keep following his research and what he's done with that. But it's all about the bottom line, folks.
Yeah.
The less they spend on the prime material, which is the agave, the more they can spend on the enhancements and the barrels and the marketing and the bottles and all that. Or as Rick coined it years ago, tequila marketing happy talk, because that's what it
Yeah.
is. So,
They're
um,
doing they're doing beautiful things with the presentation and the packaging, but they're not messing around with the juice.
no. And again, how old did you say this was being aged again? And do we know if it's being blended? I'm gonna have to check the website because the
Their
website,
their POS their POS list is 48 months. And with Enrique Fonseca and all the barrels he has in Jalisco, I would imagine it's blended. But we don't have anything specific on that.
yeah,
But
I'll check to make sure because the website, the
Enrique Fonseca is the one that, puts out like the 20-year XAs and stuff like that because he's got the barrels full of the juice all over Jalisco.
but see that's the thing, and Rick and I talked about this in the reposado. The rule of thumb years ago, even when we first started drinking tequila, 20 some odd years ago, right? This is our 25th year. When XAs were becoming, that was even before it was a category and its own expression. They were calling it, ultra añejos or extra aged.
Yeah.
It did not have a designation. It kind of like
It was
Cristalino.
in that weird area like Cristalino is now,
Right,
right?
right, right. And eventually they will baptize Cristalino and make it an official, an official expression. But up until that point, the overaged añejos were they said if it was aged longer than 5 years, it's going to taste like the barrel. It'll taste like something different. And for the most part, that was the general rule. Now, the Fonseca family has completely turned that around on its head and said, no, we can make it still taste like tequila. And they've done that. They did
Hold
it.
my cerveza.
Yeah, hold my cerveza, right?
Watch this.
Watch this. And it's like, wow. So, kudos to the family and to the Cierto, the founders of Cierto, Jason, and the new CEO. Right now his name escapes me. But for making this happen, the PR company, thank you for letting us dissect the hell out of this one. I know we took a little bit longer, but folks, it really requires you to spend some time with the juice. You don't have to just, it's not everything is supposed to be like Instagram. It's not all instant gratification. Sometimes the gratification happens after so many years. And this is one of those where, you know what? You got your tequilas that are great on Instagram, and then you got your tequilas that are great in movies and long form, video, and that's us. And this is it right here.
This is not a handy in a back alley. This is making love.
Ah! Okay, well, thank you for that, Rick, and we'll just slink out of here for that. You have been
Cue the
watching.
Barry White.
You have been, yes, you just ruined it. That's okay. I ruined the last one. Oh my God, that's our take. By the way, just in case there's any doubt, Brand of Promise nominee in the Extra Añejo
Absolutely.
category. It's beautiful, folks. Go get it. Spend the money. It's worth every penny. And this is one of those celebratory tequilas for whatever the situation is, a birth, a passing, a promotion, really literally, it's worth every single penny. And you can see what you're getting in every glass. So there you go. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California, here in the San Gabriel Valley. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy, also in Southern California.
You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. You have been watching us dissect Cierto Extra Añejo, and this is not the Reserva though. This is that other one. This is the private collection.
Private collection.
So if the people at Cierto are watching us, where's the rest of the line? But if we get lucky, you'll be seeing Rick and me doing this again. But if not, no worries. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a like. Subscribe to our magazine and newsletter on our website. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter or X or whatever they call it now. But whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.
Damn, that was good stuff.